I left my career, I burned all my bridges, left everything, left the clinic, and was like, I'm going to do this. So then I struggled majorly, and all my negative addictions came up, and everything like just tried to stop me. But I had this obsession with trying to figure it out. And I knew like whether I figured it out on this planet or after this planet, I was going to figure it out. Whether I had to come back and haunt my own self, I didn't care. I was like, I got to figure this thing out, like this life thing and making money and success and stuff. Well, cool. Hey guys, my name's Tyler Watson, and let me just tell you a little bit about my backstory, and I'd love to just hear kind of what you guys want to learn, because I've got a few things that I could hopefully give you that have changed a lot of people's lives. So I started actually about 8-9 years ago as a massage therapist, and my dad's what's called a clinical kinesiologist. Stepmom's a naturopath. And I've always been really passionate about change and transformation. So I watched my dad, he fell, he was climbing up a ladder when I was like 2 years old, slipped off the ladder, fell, and broke his back, landed on a rebar, and basically was told that he'd never walk again. And he didn't believe it. He decided to not believe in that and healed and recovered and changed from being an engineer to getting into the healing space. And so from a little kid, I always found the power of change to be fascinating to me and something that I always wanted to do, especially the healing arts. So I really loved like seeing people have or be stuck and make a change. And yet around the age of 12 years old, my parents ended up getting a divorce. And for me, that was a huge thing. Like I was taught, I was the oldest son. I never knew that they ever argued or ever fought. And out of the blue, they just were like, hey, we're getting a divorce. And so from that moment, I turned to a lot of things that weren't very productive. I pretended as if everything was okay. I put on the face. I acted like everything was okay. Got straight A's, MVP, class president, all this stuff. But at the end of the day, I would turn to suicidal tendencies. This was about from 12 to 18 years old, and no one knew. I was depressed, suicidal, turned to pornography, video game addictions. And for years, everybody thought I was just the happy kid and was like, hey, everything's great. But I struggled a lot. And I felt like I had to be that perfect kid for all of my family. And so I watched these patterns happen in my life. And as I was going through that, I still wanted to help people. So I ended up becoming a therapist, a massage therapist, and started working on everybody else to avoid my own pain. So I was like, hey, I'll help everybody else, but ignore all my stuff. And it was not ideal. I watched my mom go through 4 divorces, my dad through 2. I was terrified of getting into a relationship. I didn't know how to truly change. My first year as a massage therapist and as an entrepreneur, I made less than $13,000. I got married that year and made $12,500 to be exact. And I felt this draw though, like this pull for something greater, something bigger than myself. I don't know if you've ever felt that pull, this call. No. And I just felt like there had to be something more than just spinning my wheels, struggling, doing the same thing over and over and over, year after year after year. And it was a very spiritual moment in my life. And I chose to leave out of becoming a doctor of natural medicine. I was going to pursue that whole route to being a coach. And I was like, I just feel like I need to teach people. So I was like, I'm going to coach people. And I didn't know how to coach people. I had zero skills in that. And I left my career, I burned all my bridges, left everything, left the clinic, and was like, I'm going to do this. So then I struggled majorly, and all my negative addictions came up, and everything like just tried to stop me. But I had this obsession with trying to figure it out. And I knew like whether I figured it out on this planet or after this planet, I was going to figure it out. Whether I had to come back and haunt my own self, I didn't care. I was like, I got to figure this thing out, like this life thing and making money and success and stuff. And so, and back then I looked like I was 12. Now I look like I'm 17. So, but back then I looked even younger. And so I was like, I got to figure this thing out. And I was led to some different coaching programs where I borrowed from people to hop on board, and I learned some skills. And with some of the skills and working through some of my own negative emotions and addictive behaviors, I was able to hit my first 6-figure income within 7 months. Wrote my first book, spoke for Les Brown, Ted McGrath, went all over the country, in Canada, did some really cool things. And I was like, oh my gosh, like I may have cracked the code of my crappy success and struggle. And so I went from a place of literally like where we 10x'd our income, more than 10x'd it within 7 months. And oh, hey, Robert, what's up, dude? It's good to see you, dude. And so I struggled for a long time, and I just knew I had to change. And as I kept making those changes, we were able to more than double it the next year after that. We hit our first $1 million offline within a 3.5-year span. And then, and this was me teaching entrepreneurs how to package their message and enroll high ticket clients. So it wasn't something I was really passionate about, but I got good at it. And I started selling things. I ran my own events. I did over $250,000 in less than 3 days, doing my own event with less than 30 people in the room. So I did some pretty cool stuff. And I was like, still though, this feeling of change has got to be, there's got to be a faster way, because a lot of the processes I was using was repetition, passion, getting to root causes, trying to remove traumas. And I was like, there's got to be a faster, more effective way to create lasting change. So fast forward about 3 years ago, this is where it gets really exciting. I was led to create my own methodology. And in the middle of the night, it started with my wife being allergic to gluten, actually. And she had a gluten allergy. And I was trying all these techniques. Nothing was working. I was working on other people, but it didn't work on her. So it worked on everybody else. And I was like, golly, I got to be able to make change. Like I want change to last, not just for me, but for my family. And I tried all these things, and I just had this download of what creates lasting change. And it changed my whole entire paradigm of how I treat my whole life. And it came down to 3 things. Number one, that it's not in the mind. It's not just in the mind, it's in the body. In fact, it's in every organ, gland, and cell of the body. So when we want to attain a goal, when we're struggling, when things aren't working, it's not a mindset thing. In fact, it's your entire body set. So a lot of people focus on the mind, like let's think thoughts, think positive, like repetition, like attract, and so it shall be, which is true. But the problem with that philosophy is it's old. It's like striking 2 rocks against each other. Yes, it can create a fire, but hey, we have matches and blowtorches. Like we should be able to upgrade our level of thinking. And what happened is that it hit me, the only reason someone struggles with something in life, whether it's a gluten allergy, whether it's poverty, whether it's addictive behaviors, whether it's not making sales, whether your ads stop working, the only reason is due to 2 things: allergies and addictions. That's it. Allergies and addictions. And I thought, well, can it be that simple? And what it comes down to is your body has every cell in your body has memory. And that memory can push away what you desire based on its past perceptions. So if I want a goal, let's say I want to make a certain amount of money, maybe it's $100,000 or whatever. If in my past creating money represented to me, which this was what it represented me to me, it's going to take a long time. It's super hard. I have to sacrifice my kids and my wife. So those negative associations tied to making more money, the body wants to protect itself from pain. So it would literally push away the idea of making more deals, making more money, because it represented what? It represented less time with family, working too hard, and sacrificing. So I would procrastinate, I'd sabotage, deals wouldn't happen, things would come close and they'd not happen. And so that's an allergic response. An addicted response is something that the body's holding on to that it's used to. So usually it's a negative thing. But in my past, when I was first starting off, I was addicted to $1,000 a month. Like that felt normal to me. And then as I got to 10,000 a month, my body got used to that. And it hit its kind of threshold of like, hey, this is the new, like, oh man, too much more than this, too much responsibility. Now I got to like be better and be more perfect in things. And so my body was addicted to those frequencies. So as I learned that the only reason that we're stuck with something is due to an allergy or an addiction, and the fastest way to change that is what's called align. And I did this process on my wife, and within an hour and a half, her allergy to gluten went away of 8 years. And I thought, interesting. Well, does it work with money? So then we did it on money. And I ended up making over $8,000 in less than 24 hours. I aligned to a phrase that was, I have people reach out to me who I haven't marketed to, who pay in full for my services. And I thought, well, that's just a frequency and I'm not attracting it. So I must be allergic to it. So after aligning, I got it. And I thought, well, is this just like placebo? If so, keep placeboing, but I would love to test it on other people. So I started testing it on other practitioners and other coaches. And I had a guy who normally it would take him 3 months to get 10 new clients. In 1 week, he got 10 new clients after aligning to getting new clients. And then I thought, well, does it work on like people who like chiropractors who are just trying to get new clients consistently? And I had a guy, Eric, he doubled his income from 30 to 60K in less than 30 days after one alignment to a 60K alignment. So I thought, well, okay, like, does it work with those chronic things that are incurable? So I was like, what about those things, you know? And so we tried it with a guy named Craig who had a cardiac arrest, and he couldn't function for over 5 years. Like if he walked and looked left or right, he would fall over, and he had to wear sunglasses and earplugs. And I thought, holy cow, like this is a pretty serious thing. Like, but theoretically, the only reason he's struggling with that is why? Because his body's addicted to those symptoms and allergic to what he wants. So he's like, no, my wife's a master practitioner of 20 years, energy healing and all this stuff. And I've tried everything and I've tried all the neuro stuff and nothing works. And I was like, well, theoretically, you're still addicted. So I don't know, let's give it a shot. So we aligned him. And after that, he called back a week later in tears. And he's like, you're not going to believe this, but I'm functioning over 8 hours a day. I don't need my sunglasses or earplugs anymore. And I've got my life back. Nice. And so that was the moment when I knew I had found my calling and my mission. So since then, we wrote our book called Alignment Effect. That was my second book. We just finished it this year. We have online programs. We just hit our first Comma Club, 2 Comma Club award with that message, teaching and empowering high achievers how to attain their goals in days instead of years without sacrificing the things that matter most. So that's my passion. I can teach a lot on high ticket sales. It's still fun. I can teach like stories and like packaging it into a 7-step blueprint and how to like, you know, enroll and find clients and all that stuff, which is good. It's good to have skills. But I have an equation that I want to share with you guys real fast, and then I'll open it up for Q&A, and we'll just take, because I could go anywhere with this stuff. I teach like 5-day events, so I will not try to take too much time here.
5 days later.
Yeah, 5 days later, life changed. Love it. So I want to share my screen here. So here's the equation. This is what I call the unstoppable success equation. And unstoppable represents the speed at which you can nail your goals. So have you ever had a goal that you're like, this is feeling like it's taking a lot longer than it should? Anybody ever been there where you're like working on something and you're like, man, I feel like with all the knowledge I have and education, I should be a lot further ahead. I know I've felt that way most of my life. So here's the formula. Unstoppable, and you have skills multiplied by focus and work. Now, here's what most people teach out in the world of transformation and goal achieving. If you focus enough on skills, right, you learn all the skills, high ticket closing, high ticket sales, like that's a skill set, right? How to find clients, how to package, how to enroll, how to diffuse objections, how to share stories. Those are skills, right? Which are important. Skills amplify your focus and work combined. So work is the amount of effort that you put into something. So if I'm, obviously a lot of you are probably hard workers. How many would say, yeah, I'm a hard worker? Yeah. So you work hard, right? You put in the effort. Focus is being able to laser in that work. So if I'm digging a hole, the diggingness of the hole is the work, right? But if I'm not focused, I'll be digging everywhere. Like you just dig everywhere, right? That's lack of focus. So you're still working hard, but you're not focused. So a lot of people teach you just got to focus in, work hard, and improve your skills. That's been the philosophies for years, which it works. But here's the kicker. Underneath this are what I call allergies and addictions, pushes and pulls, fights and flights. So let's say I have 100 total up here. Okay. So I've worked hard. I've put in my effort. I got my skills. And let's just say I only have like 4 allergies and addictions total. So if I'm putting in 100 amount of effort, I would want how much back, ideally? If I put in 100 amount of work, I want 100 amount out, right? Like you ideally want what you put in, right? Here's the problem. Because of our fight, flight responses and our allergies and addictions, it takes 100. And if you only have 2, let's just say it's like 2 allergies, 2 addictions, which a lot of people have a lot more than this. Then, and you put in 100 amount of effort, you only get 25 back. So instead of being, if you put in a year's worth of work, if you're fighting against it and your body's literally pushing it away, you'll only get like 3 months of success out of it. So this is the key. And I'm kind of a Bible guy. I like biblical stories. Anybody ever heard of the story of Moses? Yeah. So there's this dude, this is the Tyler version of it, so don't quote me on it, but there's a dude named Moses, and he left. There was this group of people, right? And they were in bondage and slavery. And what does Moses do?
He goes to the Pharaoh and tells him to let his people go.
Right? And he saves them. He leads them out of slavery. And once they're out of slavery, do you know how far it was from where they left to get to the promised land?
It was a 2-month, and it took them years.
Yeah, it was actually a 12-day journey from where they were to where they should have gotten to. It like distance-wise, 12 days. 12 days. But how long did it take?
40 years.
40 years. Now I look at that, and not to judge the people, but for an example, I see, were they really free? Were they out of bondage? And they weren't. Many people were still holding on to their past perceptions, and they weren't following God's will and doing what they were told. So I look at that in our life, and it's very similar, that we go through life, we experience these forms of bondage and pain. And even though we get out of the situation, our body's still addicted to that frequency. So instead of actually walking 12 days to get your goal, you take 40 years. And then you're like, I should be further ahead. Well, you should. You really should. And it's a fact. So the goal that I have with people is I teach them a methodology, which is like a tapping and breathing process and pinpointing the definitions inside and releasing those past burdens and memories so that instead of being addicted to them, you can completely be free and choose your own reality. So that's what we do. That's what I'm about. I would love to take questions and stuff, whether you want to talk packaging and how to enroll clients, or if you want to like go on this cool trajectory of like how to shift stuff. But I don't know how long I have, but I just love transformation and getting people to change. So yeah, what do you guys want to learn?
Yeah.
How do
And
you
we'll,
get it
if you have
started?
questions, just raise that hand so we can keep it nice and organized here. It looks like my boy Jem already has a question.
All right, so my question has to do with aligning. I've been on my journey, like similar to yours, I connect with it a lot. And so I've realized lately that the more successful I get and the closer I get to building my wealth and being free from all of like, the stuff that's like stopping me, like you said, like our cells, remember past circumstances and then get addicted to those. And then they also get allergic to, progression. So it's like this difficult, painful change a lot of the times. So like, what's a good phrase to like open my, like get past that block that I have towards like producing the best, being super like about communication and like, just like allowing people to like really like me and stuff. Cause like there's like this stuff that's blocking me that I always have to like think, and I've been thinking about it as a mental thing, but like I totally get that. It's just entire like body thing. So it's like stored somewhere in me, but it's like hiding, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like hiding there. I can't freaking find it, to get past it. So what's something good to just like make me realize where it is that's the problem, and then to just solve that.
Can I do we have time like 5 minutes to just show you and give you an example and like help you through it?
Straight
Yeah.
up, I have
got all the time in the world for this.
All right, cool guys. And by the way, if you ever want to like dive in a little deeper, you can join my Facebook group. I've actually got like modules that break it down in the group that you can start getting like the process. Cause it's, I have a whole online course to teach it, but basically I want to show you right now, but you can join it. It's tylerfb.com, Tyler FB for Facebook, tylerfb.com. And that'll take you to the community. And then you go through like the unit section, I think is what it's called, or they name it, whatever they change the name all the time, but I think it's units. So, okay, cool, Jem. So, tune into your goal. Like, what is the goal that you want?
My goal is to build solid relationships with everybody I come in contact and produce a lot of value and be able to walk into a room and just light up the entire room and just like be like a pillar of production and encouragement and success and wealth. And I want to be the best at being able to communicate like 100% fluently with everybody.
Okay. So it's really about like being the best communicator and lighting up the room and helping people, inspiring them.
Yeah.
Very cool. So this is called an intuitive alignment. So we're going to do a really short version. Longer version takes like hour and a half. So this is a very short version of it. So I want you to tune in, think about your goal. Okay. 0 to 10, 10 being the most resistance to that goal. 10 being like, oh my gosh, I've got so much junk. 0 being, I'm truly unstoppable and I'm going to go do this thing like today.
Okay.
Where would you rate it?
I want to say that I'm at like a 3 or 4 on resistance, because I could see it. I can see it perfectly. I can see myself being, in an environment and just motivational and producing and everybody's smiling and I'm there like dressed really well and just like I know I've been there for years. I'm just like I'm happy with what I'm doing. And there's like about a 3 or a 4 that's just like negative.
All right. So tune into that 3 or 4 resistance. Where do you feel it at in your body?
I feel it like a lot, just like towards the top of my head and then kind of right above my stomach.
Okay. And if one had more top of the head or stomach, which one would be more?
Top of the head.
Top of the head. So point to it, the exact location.
Like right here.
Good. So right here. And if it had a color, what would it be? That 3 or 4 resistance right there at the top of your head.
Okay. Well, right when you said that, I saw red and yellow.
Red and yellow, great. And if it had a shape, what would it be?
It's kind of like a oval, but it's kind of like, it's like dented. It's like a
Perfect.
dented oval.
Yeah, this dented red oval that's like a 3 or 4 level of resistance. Okay, I want you to ask it a question. What does it want?
Wow. It's like, oh man, that's difficult. It's difficult because it's like, it's very like, wow, it's gonna open me up.
Self-reflection on a different level.
Yeah, wow. Okay, so the first thing I saw was like a whiny, like crying, like person that didn't get like the attention that it needed.
Yeah.
Be
Yeah,
honest.
good.
Be honest.
Yeah. And by the way, everybody, thanks for holding the space. Give Jem a huge hand for like going through this because it's kind of fun to do in a group. But
I
thanks.
appreciate you guys. I appreciate
Yeah.
it. Well.
So, okay, so it's this whiny, crying, and that's what so when you asked it, what does it want? Say it again.
It was like whiny, cry, some like throwing a tantrum,
Good.
someone who didn't get like the, what they thought they needed, like the attention they needed, stuff like that.
Perfect. And if whining and crying and throwing a tantrum had a color to it, what would that be?
It's kind of like a sickly green.
Sickly green. Okay, so go ahead and just surround it in your mind's eye. Give it this whiny tantrum, like full out. Go ahead and give it and let me know what happens to this red oval once you give it the full out tantrum.
So it vibrated and like shook, and then it started to smooth out.
Cool. So tune back into that resistance 0 to 10, 10 being the most. Think about your goal. Think about nailing it. 10 being the most resistance, 0 being none at all. Where would you rate it?
It's almost at a 0 now.
Cool. So I want you to tap on the head. Just tap on that spot and say, I don't get what I want.
I don't get what I want.
And it's okay. We're going to say negative stuff and it's okay.
Okay.
You'll be fine. I don't get what I want.
I don't get what I want.
And I have to fight it.
And I have to fight it.
And I have to hold on to it forever.
And I have to hold on to it forever.
And that's okay.
And that's okay.
Good. Now go ahead and do what's called align. So you're going to tap on here and breathe in through the nose. So just follow me.
Okay.
In through the nose, and you're going to tap all the way down to the back of your neck. Now out through your mouth. Again, in and out. One more time. And out. And I'll tell you guys what this does in a second. Pant. 3 times. Like a dog. And smile. Okay. Tune back into that resistance. Think about that pain, that block. 0 to 10, 10 being the most, 0 being not all. Where would you rate it?
I'd say it's a 0. That actually made me feel like I started sweating.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah. So what we just did is a very short version of pinpointing where the interpretations are stored. So for you, it was like this memory. And the cool thing about this, you don't have to know why it's there, when it got there, the root cause. I don't care about any of that. I used to back in the day, but no, who cares? All we do is need to know where it's at and align it. So you pinpoint it and then you find the resistance. And for you, it could have been this thing when you're a kid and who cares? You story, interpretation, blah, 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 blah.
Right.
But we just say, great, your body's addicted to that. What the aligning does is the moment that you think about your goal, your body's already putting off the fight, flight responses.
Yes.
So what we did is we pinpoint where it was going on, and people will be general. This goes in sales and all things, but we will generalize to protect ourselves from pain. So the moment that you pinpoint exactly where it is, game over. Like you're going to start to change things because now you can control it. So we pinpoint exactly where it is, and then we identify, give it some texture, some shape, some color to actually be able to change it. And once you give it something tangible or like more easy to manipulate, then the response, the fight, flight response is kicking on. And in the moment that it's on, by breathing in through the nose, out through the mouth, and tapping down the main meridian line, your central nervous system there, what you do is you turn off the fight, flight responses that are firing. And it allows your body to be in a state of peace and at cause. So it stops the addicted and allergic response in its tracks, and it kind of confuses the body because the body's like, what's going on? Like, you should be running right now. You should be like flipping out and you're at peace. Like, this is different. So after doing that, you do this a couple rounds, you can change things that have been going on for years. And as crazy as it seems, this is what I do. And this is what works. So thanks, Jim. Give him a huge hand for going through that little process there.
Thank you all. I appreciate that.
Thanks, Jim, for that. That was awesome. Thank you, Tyler. That was just mind blowing. So I appreciate that. Laura, what you got?
Literally just requested to join your Facebook group. I already went on Amazon and got your book, because that was actually one of my questions. First things first, I was like, is your book biblical? Because I am a woman of faith, so anything that I do try to
Amen.
There we go.
Hallelujah. Praise the Lord.
So that was one. But okay, my question in particular would be in alignment, because it's just, for me personally, it just seems that anytime that I take the initiative to really focus on myself and, go deeper into my personal development, there's always that counter that just like, it seems to be inedible. Like, for example, when I first took the initiative to really start taking care of my mental health, literally like a couple of weeks later, I got a concussion.
Mm-hmm.
Beginning of this year, it's a brand new year. Literally 2 hours before midnight, I got the worst like allergy attack, and like I was out for like a whole week. Like I was so mind fogged, and it was horrible. And then after I passed actually my closer practical, then I actually we just moved into a new home. So just like this huge panic attack just like came over me, and I was super anxious, and it's just like it was mentally, I was just like kind of getting a little unstable. But just things like that, it just seems like anytime something really good is happening, there's always some counter going on.
Okay. So the pattern is every time something good happens, something bad happens to counter it.
Right. Like trying to like stop me or, slow me down. Yeah.
Yeah. So I had a similar pattern. I'll tell you a phrase that you could align to as you go through it. But for me, anytime I had a high, within about a day or two, I'd have a huge low. And it was just like this cycle of, as soon as I get a sale, boom, like everything crashes, or I'd get sick, or like my kids would go crazy, like weird stuff would happen. And it always threw me off of my groove. So here's how you look at this. Everything's a pattern. Everything's a frequency. So like my gift is helping people figure it out and like pinpoint what it is. But it's pretty common sense in my mind, because all you do is need to actually call out what is going on. So for you, it's like, hey, when good things happen, bad things immediately follow. So that means your body has become addicted to that, where good things happen, bad things immediately follow to counter it. I might ask a couple questions though. When good things happen, how do you feel right in the moment of that good thing happening?
Amazing. Like
amazing.
Yeah.
You feel amazing. And then when you feel the bad thing happen, how do you feel then?
It's kind of like, okay, here we go again. Like it's not even a surprise, to be honest.
Yeah. So it's almost expected. It's like, this is how it is, just how it is.
Yeah.
Okay. So there's a couple ways to go at this. One is you could do a phrase like, I can have amazing things happen consistently without being countered. So you could do a whole phrase, do a whole alignment on that phrase. You would want to redefine good things, because what happened is your body's become used to where good things represent pain follows. So in this process, you'd want to map that out of like, okay, good things, bad things follow. Yeah, it's expected. It always happens. I can't ever maintain it. Something's going to happen. It's not going to be worth it. Why put in the effort? It's only going to get countered. Like those are what your body has become used to. So as you align, you disassociate from those stories that your body is used to. And then now you can create your own, which ideally it could be good things can happen and good things follow. I can have good things happen consistently. I am safe, worthy, and deserving to have good things happen no matter how I feel. In fact, I don't have to earn anything good. They're gifts that I get given. So you can go on these kicks after you redefine and then align to where it'll change those fight, flight responses, where next time you think of good things, your body and mind will be like, of course, good things follow. Nothing else is my reality. Cool, huh?
Very
Get rid of that self-doubt.
Yeah. And it's just the body's got addicted to it, and that's okay. And the cool thing is now you have a way to shift it. And if you do want to get my book, the best place to get it is actually at alignmenteffect.com, because I have an Audible version. It's a bundle. So you could get the Audible, the PDF, and the physical. So you can get it on Amazon, but if you want to get a better deal, you can get it at alignmenteffect.com.
Alignmenteffect.com. Okay.
Yeah, alignmenteffect.com. And that'll get you that. And then, and you can join the group at tylerfb.com, and I'll go through after this and add everybody.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, give Laura a huge hand. Awesome job. Thanks for sharing that.
Wait, Alaric, do you not have a question or?
Yeah, I got a question. I'm just waiting for everybody to stop.
Sorry,
You know,
sir.
give
No
everybody
problem.
their time talking. Hey, Tyler, so kind of interesting. We come to the mastermind today because I read the book by Dr. Bruce Lipton this summer called The Biology of Belief.
Yeah, it's a good one.
So I mean, so it's pretty much what you do, but you kind of do it with a little bit of a twist. I've noticed. He didn't
Yep.
discuss some of your techniques in his book.
He didn't.
No.
Yeah.
He just goes down how it goes down to the cellular level, and each cell has you have a certain amount of cells that are assigned to every organ,
Yep.
and how your beliefs affect your cells, and they can make you more sick, and etc. Like he showed examples in the book of doctors falsely diagnosing people,
Yeah.
because they were in a hurry, and then they die from that condition, and when they do the autopsy, come to find out they didn't even have the condition.
Yeah. It's super,
Yeah.
super real. So the cool thing is a lot of people will teach about it, but very few actually have a process that acknowledges it, which is what I think is so different from this. Everybody I've ever taught, they're like, finally, all the gurus out there who teach on this stuff, there's a way to do something about it. Because most people, they go back to, well, you got to meditate, you got to think it through, you got to do a lot of repetition, you got to spend a year like getting yourself in that frequency until it changes. And I'm like, all you do is have to address everything individually and align it, and then it's done.
Very interesting.
Yeah. I'm here to hopefully open up your minds and bodies to a new way of thinking and acting, so you can succeed 10 to 20 times faster.
And all your techniques are discussed in your book, Tyler, or do we?
Yeah,
Would it be better
in
to
the-
set up a one-on-one with you?
In the book, it shows a little bit of the basics. We have 12 variations for the whole process itself. So we have like a whole online course to learn the mastery of it. Because to do a full one, you actually check almost 500 parts of your body. So you go very thoroughly. And that's why it works so well, because there's nothing left. Like when you change everything, it's all changed.
And if we want a personal one-on-one with you, just contact you on your website there.
Yeah, best thing you can do if you want to reach out to me on Facebook. I do Facebook a lot. If you want to just send me a PM, and we can set up a time if you're like wanting to deep dive into something, really explore, if you're looking pretty seriously into it, then I can share you different options and stuff of what that looks like.
Because my sister did something over the summer, a different group similar to what you're talking about, and she had all these, like autoimmune conditions she thought she had, and all this stuff. I mean, she'd been diagnosed, been taking medications for it. It was affecting her life. She did something similar to what you're talking about, and she's completely
it's crazy.
not on the medications anymore, nothing. She's back to running, mini marathons. She'll get up in good enough shape to run full marathons again. But similar to what you're talking about, in fact, she might have even hooked up with you. I don't know. I'll have to talk to her. But whatever she did, it happened fast, within 2 weeks. And her doctors are very angry. They're not making money off her anymore.
We're all about speed. And the cool thing is not just with health. And this is also a big difference, because a lot of people into this just talk about health stuff. But I find that money and relationships, they're all treated the same. So, and I also believe that everything affects everything. So where somebody's health might be affected, I look at their relationship and how their wealth is. And if they're wanting to increase their wealth, I look at, okay, how are your relationships and how is your health on that? And many times they're interconnected. Well, I've never seen them not connected. So
What I had a question about is a framework for physical alignment, how to become physically aligned with developing a bulletproof sales process for whatever product or service we're trying to get into the marketplace.
yeah.
And also how to bulletproof that sales process to the point that we are able to obtain infinite sales potential.
Okay.
Because for me, I have a lot of not limiting beliefs, but stuff that I grew up with, like the poverty mindset sort of thing, and I'm doing better with it.
Okay.
But it's like it's hard to break free from that mindset. So
Okay. I would love to share some perspective around money. Oh, that's such a good topic. So someone asked, is my book already on Audible? It's not on Audible, but you can get it at alignmenteffect.com. I did it myself. So it's the Audible version you can get there, and with the tangible book. So LaShawn, okay, dude, this is like such a powerful topic. All right. So money, I'm going to teach you a little real quick, something around money that kind of changed my whole life in the selling world. And I came from kind of a poverty background as well. And here's the interesting thing. Money has a meaning to every single person on the planet. It's different. So I'm going to share a little story. Hopefully it'll relate to some of you. But when you think about money, where did like the origin of money was first introduced, like currency, when like before money even existed, what did we do? We traded stuff, right? We'd have like potatoes and, hey, I've got potatoes, here's some rice, right? Somebody was a genius and they're like, hauling these potatoes around is like heavy. So let's just like swap it out for some like, pieces of metal. And this represents that. Okay. So it became an exchange. Now, here's the thing. Back when it started, that exchange, money represented food and shelter. So the things that kept us alive. Now, I'm going to kind of go a little, man, is it okay if I share some spiritual things here too? If you guys are not spiritual, just kind of plug your ears and ignore it. But if you are, this will be cool. So
it might help him out though.
Yeah.
Open up your ears.
Helped me. So, and if you have an allergy to spiritual stuff, redefine it and align it. It'll change your life. So here's how it is. So when I was at this, I was standing at this event back when I first started, when I was making less than $12,500 a year. This guy does an offer for $5,400. That was like half my annual income. Okay. And I remember standing there and I remember this feeling, and it was interesting because everybody's like, yeah, go. And I'm like, I need the thing, but I don't have the what? I don't have the money. And in that moment, I remember this voice, and it was this cool, powerful dialogue. And it said, who are you going to serve? Money or me? And the thought came to me, I was led to that person who was making an offer to change my life. And I was making a choice based on the lack of money, not out of the faith that I could actually attract and create whatever I want with faith. So in that moment, I realized most of my life, I was serving mammon. There's a scripture that says you can only serve mammon or God. There's only two options. Mammon is the love of money. So I was letting most of my life dictated by the lack of money. If I didn't have it, I couldn't spend it. So even if God was like, hey, Tyler, you need to go do this thing, it's going to change your life. Oh, don't have it, can't do it. So in that moment, I was serving money over God by not taking action, which was huge for me. So I realized that most of my life, I was a slave and a victim to money because of my poverty thinking. And I remembered this experience in the scriptures where somebody needs money and God's like, or Christ is like, hey, go catch a fish and money. I was like, well, that was all faith. Like he didn't have it, but he got it. So I thought, it's not whether or not I don't have the money. It's, do I have the faith to do what I'm led to do? And for me, I made a decision, which means to sever off any other options. And I made a decision that I was not going to be a victim or a slave to money ever again. And I remember it vibrated through my body like crazy. And I was like, I am done being a victim to money. I am done letting money master me. I didn't know how I was going to come up with the freaking $5,400. I didn't have a credit card to my name. So I did things that were out of the ordinary. I called people. I literally called everybody I knew. Hey, I got this thing. This is what I'm doing. I need $5,400. Will you loan it to me? And some of them were like, are you at one of those things where they're like doing this sales pitch stuff? I was like, yes. They're like, oh, we don't support that. I was like, love you. Thank you. Bye. Okay, next one. And I was like doing things that I never done before, confronting my fears. And I became someone that I wasn't by stopping serving money and starting to actually serve a higher cause. So I ended up coming up with the funds, bought it, and then I was tested time and time again. It didn't just happen one time. Multiple programs, multiple things. Since then, I've invested almost $500,000 in my personal development. And it's not because I've had the money, but it's because I'm led to do what I know I need to do. And I take action because I know that's the right thing. So often we're afraid to ask people for money because money represents life source to us. It represents food, water, shelter. And if I ask you for money, it means I'm robbing you of your life source. But if I truly trust a higher power that God provides, not money, then I'm okay offering and taking your money because money doesn't provide for me. And I know it doesn't provide for you. There's someone bigger, someone more knowing out there who provides. In fact, some of my best clients have been people that didn't have the money. And I share my story and I say, who are you going to serve? And they go move mountains. And they find a power inside of them that they haven't found. And they go invest tens of thousands of dollars. And then they do it again and again. And then they go help people. And they transform their life because now they're not a victim to money. And they stand for something greater than money, which is impact or serving. So I get excited talking about money because I know how many people are addicted to the slavery that money keeps people in. And it's a choice. We all have it. I had a choice at that moment to decide who I was going to serve. And everyone here does too. So I believe when you sell something, I believe selling is one of the highest callings on the planet. Because it's an amazing experience if you do it with that kind of intention. Some people, it's just to make money. For me, I see it as a life-changing experience. When I'm talking to another human being and I see that they're struggling, there's stories about how they're in poverty, living in the basement. And I'm like, wow, what a great story this is going to be when you decide that you're ready for something greater. And I truly believe that God doesn't make everybody out here to be poverty stricken and poor and struggling the rest of their life. I believe we're here to thrive. We're here to come alive and to create. That's the kind of thing that I do and serve. And I'm not perfect at it by all means, but I try to live it every single day. And man, when you do that, sales, it becomes amazing. And you can look into people's eyes and hear their story, counter it with your faith. And whoever's story is bigger wins. I have a huge story for all my clients that I enroll. They have their own story of how they're going to fail. But my story is always bigger. And I always win. And I get paid a lot because I believe in them more than they believe in themselves. But I help them believe in themselves. I don't carry people. I help them see it. And I reflect it back and say, are you really ready to step out of that identity and step into a new one? Does that help, LaShawn?
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Dakota, you're up, my man.
Well, first things first, you said you can either live by mammon or what?
Yeah. So there's a scripture that says you either serve mammon or God.
Mammon or God.
Yeah. And mammon is the love of money. So When someone serves mammon, they let money decide their decisions,
Right.
versus God, they let a higher calling serve their decisions.
Gotcha. Just off the top of my head, if you could give me 3 just general books, other books, you know what I mean, out there that you've read or that have really inspired you or have some great context in them that really helped you in your life or in your situation. If you give me 3 books, I'd really
Oh man, 3 books.
give me
Okay.
100. Give me 100 if you can. Bro.
I have a huge library of books. So
That's what I'm looking for. That's what I'm
Okay.
looking for.
so depends on the topic. Name like one area in your life that you're like, hey, I'd love a good book on this.
Control.
Control, like control of self.
Yes.
Okay.
Control
And
of self, control of outcomes, situations, obviously, but yeah, more
Okay.
self-discipline.
this might be a different spin on it, but actually one of the best ones that I've read that helps on control and trust in self and in higher power is Immaculée Ilibagiza's book, Left to Tell. So she survived the massacre or the genocide.
Okay.
Oh man, like talk about like having a mission and control and passion, and when fear comes and how to like master that. Like one of the most crazy, like after I read that, number one, I was like bawling my eyes out, but number two, it was like it changed my life after I read that, because I realized, man, I don't have faith. I don't like, I'm like, talk about like laser vision focus and her
Right.
story, like
That's what I'm
incredible.
looking for. That's what I'm looking for. That self-development, self-reflection.
Yep.
Kind of material.
So
Could you
Left to
could you
Tell.
say her name again, or like?
I'm probably trashing it, but it's I think it's Immaculée Ilibagiza or Ilibagiza. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, right there.
Hold
Laura's
that
got
right
it.
there, real still, real quick.
Yeah, if you look up Left to Tell, it'll pop up.
Okay, perfect.
That's on self-control. On marketing or sales, if you want a good one on marketing and sales, I'm a big fan of Russell Brunson's books on
Okay.
those.
Thank
So
you.
if you haven't read Expert Secrets, like super good book on like selling and like the character, forming a character and being
Yeah.
that expert.
What was the name of that book?
Expert Secrets, Russell
Expert
Brunson. Yeah. And then what other topic did you want?
Self reflective book with
Marketing one.
marketing. What about just like a good finances, self-discipline financial aspect book? What do we got holding up there? You got the expert book up there, Brandon?
It's right there, Brandon. Yeah.
Nice.
So financially or around money, well, just on the like the theory behind money, like kind of esoteric but really powerful. It's short. It's called the Little Money Bible by Stuart Wilde. Yeah, the Little Money Bible, Stuart Wilde. He's just one of the great authors. That's a good one. Also, in fact, rest in peace, just passed away, Bob Proctor's, but his Born Rich is a really great read on wealth and like the power of people and how you are just born to be rich.
Gotcha.
Those are a few on money. Mine, I also have a good one on sales and money. I wrote, it's the enrollment effect.
Like you just looked right back.
Yeah. So the enrollment effect teaches a lot on money and sales
Gotcha.
and how to think differently about money. It's a really great one as well. So
Cool. Hey, who was the author of the Little Money Bible?
Little Money Bible, Stuart Wilde, I believe.
Stuart Wilde.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I didn't forget.
Yeah.
So.
Perfect.
Cool.
Yeah, man, that's just about all I got off the top of my head.
Yeah,
Thank you
man.
so much, Tyler. I
so
appreciate your
welcome.
time and I appreciate everything. So,
Yeah. Thanks, Dakota. Give him a hand. Thanks for sharing, man. Thanks. Good questions.
Awesome. Thanks, Dakota. Thanks, Tyler, for that. We'll just wrap it up here. These last 3 questions. We'll go over to Joseph.
I just have a quick question. I think it's already answered, but I want to make sure. Would you include, like you said, allergies and what was the other thing?
Addictions.
Addictions. Would you include disease states as allergies?
Yeah,
And-
I would
and
actually include a disease state as more of an addiction. So the body becomes addicted to the symptoms of the disease.
Okay, so cause see, what I'm thinking of, the disease state that I have basically has other things that go on top of others.
Yeah.
You know, when you have diabetes, that's the first disease state that they say you have. And then as it progresses, diabetes get into cardiovascular things.
Yep.
So the next step is hypertension.
Yep.
So you know, and all of that. And I do kind of figure that, yes, that could be the case, that I'm addicted to sugar some kind of way, because every time I look around, I have to get will control, willpower.
So when you think of allergies and addictions, you got to start thinking about the meaning differently. Most people are like, addictions. Oh, I'm addicted to sugar. Like we think food addictions or drug addictions. And then we're like, allergies. Oh, like seasonal allergies or food allergies. It's actually not that at all. So an addiction is something that is not ideal that is happening in your world. Okay. An allergy is something that is ideal that is not happening in your world. So if I have negative symptoms, high blood pressure, whatever it might be, those are not ideal. It's in my world. My body's become addicted to that frequency, that pattern, those symptoms and what they cause inside of me. If I'm like, hey, I would love to have more energy. I would love to have more freedom. I would love to become more alive. That's my ideal. That's not happening. So that would actually be an allergic response my body's having, literally pushing it away. So to every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. To every push, there is a pull. To every pull, there's a push. To every allergy and addiction, every addiction, there's an allergy. So the key here is to look at that as everything has a dual to it. And if I am only making a certain amount of money in my life, my body's become addicted to that level of money and allergic to the idea of anything more than that. So as you align, it gets rid of those fight, flight responses and allows you to be at full cause so that you can choose it if you want to, and you can actually create something new. So yeah, it happens with in any area of your life, which is kind of crazy, because once you see the power and potential that you have as a human being, literally like nothing can, you can change anything. Now, there is a thing that I call godly burden, which is like 5% of the stuff in the world. Most stuff is called self-imposed, which is like 95% of all the problems. And if it's a godly burden, let's say you maybe are born with a certain disease, or maybe you don't have an arm or something, right? And you align to change that. If it's a godly burden, it'll no longer in affect your results at all, because it'll empower you. And you see people who are already aligned to their godly burdens where they don't let it define them. They create their reality regardless of their situation. Those are godly burdens. Maybe they won't ever change, but it doesn't stop you. It
sound like the story of Paul.
Yeah, there you go. Yep. So sometimes we're given godly burdens, but I'd say like 5% of the stuff I see and work with is godly burdens. Most all the crap that we go through is self-imposed. Like it's just our interpretations of all the stuff that we've experienced.
And see, because I'm definitely going to get your books and things like that. And I'm very much, I wasn't expecting this, and I'm interested in this new kind of thought process and new kind of theory to solve the problem. I already know I have to do the work, because being a health professional, you realize the common denominator that the health professions teach or talk to people about. They always tell them, you got XYZ problem, you need to control your diet and exercise.
Yep.
So that's where I'm at right now, trying to get that, maybe how to reach those frequencies that's going to help me stay aligned, stay focused.
Yeah.
You know, those are the things that I'm trying to
you could start going through some of that. And I would do an alignment. Let's say it's difficult for you to exercise or eat healthy. You can align to that. to where you enjoy working out or eating certain foods. So I had a lady, she hated eating healthy foods. Like anything green was like the devil, like, like get away. And she was super addicted to sugar. But after she aligned to green foods, she literally like aligned to be okay and enjoy eating healthy. She sent me pictures of her like chugging down like green salad and being like, this tastes so good. Like you can change your taste buds because all that is a frequency. So you can change anything.
Gotcha.
Love that, Tyler.
Love that. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
This is awesome. You guys are awesome. What great questions.
We'll move over to Mr. Brandon Ford.
All right. Well, can you hear me first of all?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Man. First, dude, there is just there is an overwhelming like positive energy about you.
Thanks.
It's,
Hey,
I've got
Tiff.
I've got three things.
Yeah.
Two of these you've already been touching on a good bit, but I was wondering if we might possibly be able to go deeper into them.
Yeah.
And I'll give you some context behind why I'm giving you these three specific things. One is money. You've already been talking about that a good bit. But I was wondering if we could maybe go deeper into it because in the context of why I'm bringing that particular subject up is currently my mindset and perception and the way I look and perceive and view money is a lot different now than what it used to be. But it is still a troublesome, struggling factor for me. Long story short, I've grown up as a lower middle class, blue collar dude from North Central Alabama whole life, whole family. Everybody in my whole entire family has always been, paycheck to paycheck, struggling to make ends meet, just, doing good enough to get by, survive, pay bills, etc. The other two things are, and you've already been touching on these, but again, I'm just hoping maybe we can go a little deeper, or maybe even do an exercise or something like you did with Laura earlier. The other two things are health and music, and I'll give you the short of those. I've known since I was 19 years old that very, very clearly as what's that dude's name, the redneck comedian guy Bill Foxworthy, here's your sign type of deal. I've known since I was 19 that music is something God's called me to. I've played drums now for a little over 25 years. I write songs and poetry like all the time. In health, right now I'm in pretty much the worst shape I've ever been in my whole I've been in my whole life. There was a point in time when I was 250 pounds. I was lean, big, could run 3 miles no problem at 250 pounds. Had 20-inch arms, 35-inch quads and thighs, 36-inch waist. I was in excellent shape. I'm far from that. Here's part of why I also bring up health and music is because those two things I dream about almost every single night. There's hardly ever, going to be getting a little vulnerable here for a second, man. Rarely ever does a night pass that I don't dream about playing music, and it's always the same thing. It's always either I'm playing drums or I'm singing in the dream. And when I was a teenager, I wanted to be a rock and roll, fill sports stadiums, have, massive crowds, basically, worshiping me and my music, singing my songs, vanity. Now when I have these dreams at night, it's always a dream of people worshiping. I'm always on stage and there's just a crowd of people that are just worshiping God for all of his goodness. And with health, I always have a dream. I'm always dreaming that I'm exercising and working out. And the version of myself that I see in the mirror is a much leaner, stronger, healthier version of what I currently am. So that's why I bring up those three things. And if we could go deeper into that or whatever,
let me ask you a question. So when you think about your dreams, what do you feel like is stopping you from actually making those dreams a reality?
Fear of failure, procrastination, procrastination, a lack of action, but those two the procrastination and lack of
Yeah.
action are more correlated to the first thing, fear of.
And if you failed, what would happen? Let's say you go at it and fail. Then what?
I'd have some family that would kind of be like, I told you so,
Okay.
or I knew it.
So I would actually do an alignment on I stopped trying to please other people. I stopped trying to please other people. And I live my dreams. I stopped trying to please other people and I live my dreams. And you might even incorporate for God. And if you aligned that full phrase, number one, your body's become addicted to this fear of rejection, fear of hurting people or other people validating that says, hey, I told you so, you're a failure. And so the body's afraid of that. And it's also addicted to safety. And it's addicted to this just, hey, if I can just be safe, this is known. So the body's afraid of the unknown. So you want to align to where it's like, hey, I can go into the unknown and be safe. And who cares what other people think? So logically, it kind of makes sense, but you want to make sure it resonates on every cell of your body. So that's why you would align and go through that full process as you learn it. Cool, huh?
Yep.
Yeah. And that would be the beginning. You know, another cool phrase would be, I am good enough and deserve to attain my goals now, regardless of what others think. Okay. Cool, huh?
Write it down word for word, brother.
Yeah. Yeah. And the words matter, like very specific on the words. As you guys learn how to align, it's very important. Every word has a frequency and a meaning to it. Cool. Okay. Round of applause. Thanks, Brandon.
And we'll just wrap it up here with Mr. Alvin Harris.
That's some really good stuff. I'm really vibrating with it. I feel everybody's energy. It's touching a lot of people here. And the big elephant in the room, I'm a former $100 million producer. But we won't get into all of that. I'm here to sharpen my saw. And procrastination has worked its way into my format somehow. So I am wide open to anything that I can realign, because this used to never be a problem. So something has changed. Granted, my cash flow's changed right along with it. So I'm just all ears. I'm just really, I'm going to take this a little further with you somewhere. I've got to do that because I need alignment in a couple of places.
Yeah. Let me ask you a question.
Years ago, so that's a big thing, but procrastination right now
Okay.
is a big one.
So what does procrastination mean to you?
Incompletion.
Incompletion.
Not wrapping up not finishing up projects, or, you know, I'm a big project guy, and maybe I'm a little ADD or whatever all that means, but that's sort of where I'm at with it.
Yeah. And what do you feel like is keeping you from, let's just say, hey, let's say go finish something? Like, what do you think would keep you from actually just doing that?
I'm going through a period of overwhelmment right now. I joined this class to really see if I could still do the same things you guys are doing that I've done. It's just I'm 73 years young and I feel like I'm 40, so why not go for it? I think it's a mindset thing or whatever set. I've got more sets going on now than I ever thought I'd have. So that's okay. I'm with that. However, that's probably it. I feel like I've got to learn how to say no to something. In other words, I'm now running my house by myself. I kind of slid it in there. My wife passed unexpectedly a couple of years ago, actually in just a few days, February the 28th. And I'm coming out of that really crazy place, and I still don't get it all, but I'm here because I need the environment.
Yeah.
In other words, I bring a lot of fire to my businesses, and I've had those crazy things happen that Mike talks about, and I just shake my head and almost dance kind of with him. And I'm ready to see that. I'm past ready.
Very
So that's
cool.
why-
How
that's
do you
why I'm here.
feel? How do you feel when it comes to loneliness?
I'm pretty lonely.
Yeah. So
I've been a loner. I mean, really good closers. I mean, if you do some of the crazy things I've done in the sales business, you wind up being alone sometimes. And then you look around when you thought you had a lot of friends and you're not knocking out that 30 or 40 a month or whatever, or 100, whatever. A lot of people measure you by that. And then all of a sudden I'm not quite that as famous or whatever. And so I'm going to break out of that. Not for my grandchildren, not for me. I've been so blessed, but I want to stop this thing before it gets bigger. How's that sound?
So I love that. And thanks for sharing. I hear, just based on what you've said, I would suggest that somewhere down the line, your body has attached value, like being valued, to the amount of money that you make. So I would actually do an alignment on money doesn't define my value. I am needed and belong because of who I am. Money does not define my value. I am needed and wanted because of who I am. And as you change that, you'll be able to make more money, not because it's this need, because the thing that we need a lot of times, and I had this, I used to have to make money to try to earn my wife's love. That's what I thought is what I needed to do. And I was so addicted to it that if I didn't make a certain amount of money during a month, I wouldn't feel good enough. I'd feel like, oh no, I'm not producing. I don't feel valued. And so that never serves people. It might for a few years, but it's not sustainable. And
so I get you to repeat that one thing after define my values.
Yep. So money doesn't define my value. I am needed and wanted for who I am. And if you could change that one, Alvin, that would be a game changer for you. Because then you could just show up and people would buy from you just because of who you are. And you wouldn't need the money because you don't need the validation. You already feel like you belong and you already feel good enough.
It's a really thin line in there because I'm I'm still driven pretty strong. But I think you just nailed it. I think probably for 30 plus years, I have defined myself too much around, the wrong value.
Yeah. Well done, man.
I love that.
I know that's a big one to chew on. So let it sink in for a little bit. If you need help, I'm around. You've got my book. You can reach out to me in Facebook.
I will. I appreciate that. And I wanted to thank Jake, man, appreciate you. This has been really fantastic. But great guest.
All righty. Well, thanks everybody. This was awesome. Thanks, Jake.
Yeah,
Can
of
we
course.
just give
Everyone give Tyler a
Jake
round of
a round?
applause.
Yeah, everybody give Jake a hand too. That was awesome.
Jake and Alvin.